Come and vibe with me. Ladies and gentlemen, I need about
I want to move on to another aspect of the film, which is the woman.
Goddessa. And I really like their music. And because the way that they talked about themselves and when they said, oh, you know, we have to try 100% better, and they always say that because we're girls, you know, or women, it makes it that much harder. And I actually liked the fact that they highlighted that issue because there are women out there. The only thing is, obviously, with women, either they have to act really masculine to get their voices heard, and I grew up with like Salt and Pepper and people like that, but it's the fact that actually there is that issue, and they raised it in the film, and they're saying that we're here and we're doing what we're doing because we love it. And again, it was important in the film because it was then you had the balance, and it meant that, you know, people are saying, you actually, why aren't we seeing that? It's like, again, why aren't we seeing more women? And by putting it in the film, it made me think, well, I need to, even as a woman, you're thinking, I need to be more aware to watch out for not just male, but then again, you know, even they said, it's about how good you are. It's not about the fact that they're women or men. It's how good you are at what you're doing, what message and how good your music is. And that's what the important thing was. It wasn't the fact whether you're male or female. But they did recognise that there is, you know, a division, but because they're there, they're breaking it down.
We have to explore why these women are viewed in the way they are. And so many women throughout the world, the majority of women are in oppressed situations. Young girls in many cultures are seen as less than valuable. And I think it's why these things perpetuated in the way they are, and where this sort of hatred comes from, and this imbalance. So I think looking at it in hip-hop and just singling out hip-hop per se as being guilty of that wouldn't be fair of a much wider culture, because you can buy The Sun and in page 3 there are naked women there all the time, you know, and on the front of these newspapers. It's an everyday thing.
Hello, I'm sorry, I'm going to have to disagree with the first speaker about the denigration of women in culture in general, because I think it's fair to say that in hip-hop, the denigration of women is somehow seen as more acceptable than in almost any other form of culture. So I don't think you can compare calling women a hoe or a bitch to having a topless woman in a newspaper. So I'd like some of the panellists, if they could, to address how we can stamp out this denigration of women in hip-hop, and also if anyone could give me reasons as to how it came acceptable to label women in that way in the first place.
I just think it comes from a much wider malaise, and I don't think that music or the denigration of women in hip-hop suddenly just jumped in there and started there. I think it has a much deeper root, especially in relation to the black culture, and I think that has something a lot more to do with our history, with hatred, with the perpetuation of enslavement. And so I want to make it clear that I wasn't at all saying that hip-hop or rap music, that there was no responsibility, but I actually do believe it's a much greater actual problem than just looking at that music alone. It's part of it, and I believe it has to be challenged. I'm not necessarily the expert to do that, but I do believe that there's something much more rancid at the heart of what we do allow with women. Looking at women in hip-hop is one thing. They're women sold into slavery. They're women here, over nearly 1.5 million here, sexually trafficked into this country in some sort of bondage. So I'm just saying the whole element of women and the way that we're treated, I think we've got to really look at it in terms of what we allow in the world, and why it does sort of spew out into this music is something much more dangerous. That's my opinion. But
I mean, I'm sorry, again, I'd have to disagree with you, because the trafficking of women for sexual purposes or for other purposes is illegal, whereas anybody can call a woman a bitch in a song. It's the casualness that aggravates me the most, because you know, you can give the extreme examples of how women are downtrodden, but they are illegal examples, whereas it's so casual to refer to a woman in a negative way in many hip-hop songs, or even in hip-hop culturally, in the imagery, in many different forms. And I think that's something that has to be addressed, and I wasn't very happy with the way it was addressed in the film. I thought, again, that was excessively casual.
I think the way we stop it is we don't buy it. 2, when we see it, we actively do things against it. So say, for example, I mean, I don't currently have any children, but if I had a young boy or a girl, I would tell them either I wouldn't let them watch it, or I know that they're going to watch it or they're going to see it, so then I would give them enough information about their history to say that is wrong, so it's not acceptable. But also, it's a matter of when you see it, you say, you know what, that is not acceptable. You have to say to the record labels, you just be active and say, you know what, I don't think that's acceptable. And it may only be one letter, it may only be 5 letters, but it starts very, very small. I think that's the way to stop it. And I know people think, oh, well, it's not going to make a difference. But if you don't vote, then you're never going to be empowered. You're never going to have a position. And again, it goes back down to who are the labels, who is the music, who is actually making these decisions, and then writing to these people or getting to those people and saying, you know what, we don't want this.
I don't think it is acceptable to see women denigrated in any way. And to me, it's not acceptable to see women. It might be in hip-hop music or in some elements of rap. I think if what I've learned from tonight is correct, that it's not actually hip-hop. It might be an element of a rap and maybe a gangster element of a certain element of, and so a subdivision of a subdivision. The way we treat women, the way we allow ourselves to be portrayed, I think that's really more important than whether hip-hop has naked women or not, because that's just the surface of a much deeper malaise, I think, in terms of our own humanity.